I'm calling 911. You stole my internet. That's what I heard one Saturday morning from a kid standing on my own lawn, clutching his iPhone like it was some kind of badge. Picture this, a 12-year-old with golden hair, sneakers worth more than my laptop, screaming at me from the edge of my lakeside property because I wouldn't hand over my Wi-Fi password. Yeah, that actually happened. But here's the thing. You know what really burned me? When I was 8, I saw my dad break down in our kitchen after the old HOA fined us every week for 3 years because our fence was 5 centimeters too high. I swore right then, never again would I let anyone push me around. So when this kid, Tyler, called the cops on me, the entire neighborhood learned exactly what happens when you pick a fight with the wrong IT guy. See, this all started when I finally carved out a little piece in my life, quit corporate, went freelance, bought this cozy lakeside house with killer internet, and figured, maybe, just maybe, I could build a little sanctuary here. The HOA here was nothing like the horror show from my childhood. People mostly minded their business. Until the Walsh family rolled up in a shiny new Lexus. Margaret Walsh, or Mrs. Walsh, as she liked to be called, arrived in a cloud of perfume and self-importance. She made herself HOA president in about 3 days flat and started patrolling the neighborhood with a clipboard and a measuring tape, snapping photos of flower beds and mailbox flags like she was running for sheriff. And Tyler, well, he had the kind of confidence you only get from never being told no. A real piece of work, always poking around, asking about people's gaming setups, obsessed with who had the fastest internet. First time I noticed Tyler lurking by my hedge, he was pretending to walk his dog but clearly scanning for Wi-Fi signals. I stepped outside and caught him red-handed, iPhone in hand. Screen lit up with my network name Miller Fiber 200. He didn't even bother to hide it. When I called him out, he got flustered, mumbled something about looking at the lake. Yeah, sure, the lake that's visible from his own backyard. Next thing I know, he's knocking on my door, giving me the big puppy dog eyes, asking for my Wi-Fi password just for homework. I said no. Nicely, at first. But the more I refused, the more his politeness disappeared and the threats came out. His mom is HOA president, everyone else shares, I'm being unfair, blah blah blah. I shut the door on him, but I knew that wasn't the end of it. A couple days later, Tyler starts escalating. He tries to hack my Wi-Fi with some app he downloaded, gets his friend to help him, sits outside with an iPad angled toward my house, even walks his dog with a 20-foot leash just to get closer. He goes around the neighborhood, telling everyone I'm running suspicious networks, spreading rumors that my internet is somehow messing up theirs. The kid's got the political skills of a corrupt senator at age 12. I decided, okay, you want to play games? Fine. I changed my network name to Tyler. Stop lurking. The next day it was ask your mom for internet. Then 911 is not customer service. Each name got a bigger reaction. Margaret glaring at me from her kitchen window, Tyler storming around with his phone, the neighbors whispering. I thought I'd made my point until the police showed up. Yeah, that's right. Sirens, squad car in the driveway, 2 officers who looked like they wanted to be anywhere but there. Mr. Miller, we received a 911 call about internet theft and cyberbullying. I swear I laughed right in their faces. I couldn't help it. When I showed them my private networks and explained what happened, they almost cracked up, but had to keep it professional. Then Margaret comes marching over in full crisis mode, insisting I was harassing her son, excluding him from community resources, and causing him emotional distress. The officers patiently explained that not sharing Wi-Fi is not a crime, and that, actually, misusing 911 is. They called Tyler over, made him admit to calling 911 over a Wi-Fi password, and gave him and Margaret a stern lecture about proper emergency service use. Handed them a pamphlet, shook my hand, and left. You'd think that'd be the end, right? But Margaret wasn't backing down. That night, I saw her pacing through her kitchen, phone to her ear, glaring at my house like she was plotting something. The next morning, there's a formal HOA complaint taped to my door, accusing me of harassing minors. That's when I realized this wasn't just about a bratty kid. It was about power. Margaret started slapping me with bogus violation notices, my laptop visible through the window, my freelance work considered a business, even a fine because Tyler claimed my keyboard was too loud. Meanwhile, she's posting all over the neighborhood forums, tanking my business reputation, spreading rumors that I'm an unlicensed hacker. Clients started dropping me, my revenue took a hit, and for a second, I thought about selling the house and moving. But then I remembered being 8, my dad's hand shaking as he wrote yet another check to the HOA. Not this time. So I fought back hard. I spent a weekend digging through public HOA financial records, meeting minutes, every paper trail Margaret had left behind. And what I found? She'd spent thousands of community dollars on improvements to her own house, paid her brother-in-law's landscaping company, upgraded the community Wi-Fi with funds that vanished, and signed invoices without member votes. I wasn't the only victim. Other neighbors started telling me about fines for things like a single string of Christmas lights or growing tomatoes in their backyard. Within days, I had a petition for a recall election and statements from half a dozen angry homeowners. Margaret tried one last power move, an emergency HOA meeting, where she pushed for new rules and random network inspections. I showed up with my laptop, pulled up all the evidence on the projector, and laid it out in front of the whole neighborhood. Fraud, abuse of power, illegal fines, the room turned on her in seconds. Bill Rodriguez, my neighbor, called for a vote. 17 votes for recall, 3 against, 3 abstentions. Margaret went pale, grabbed her papers, and stormed out, with Tyler trailing after her. Afterward, we elected Sarah Martinez, a real community-minded neighbor, as interim president. All the fake violation notices were shredded, the fines reversed, and the board voted to implement real transparency for HOA finances and decisions. I spent the next morning turning off every single piece of interference equipment I'd set up, watched as the Wi-Fi in the neighborhood came back online, people's devices reconnecting like the world was healing. A few months later, Tyler showed up at my door with an apology note, said his mom made him write it, but he actually seemed sincere. I accepted. Turns out, Margaret finally sprang for a real internet plan faster than mine, according to Tyler. I just told him, next time, ask nicely. He grinned and ran home. As for Margaret, well, she keeps her head down now. The neighborhood's peaceful again, the HOA runs like it should, and my Wi-Fi network is back to reading problem solved. Just a little reminder of what happens when you refuse to be bullied. So what do you think? Was my revenge too much? Or did Margaret and Tyler finally get what they deserved? Drop your stories about crazy HOAs or bad neighbors in the comments. Let's hear where you stand. What's fair? What's going too far? And if you like this story, hit like, share it with a friend, and stick around for more tales of standing up, fighting back, and winning when it counts.